Welcome to our Monday, August 12th, 2024 school board meeting. This meeting is now officially called to order. Will you please stand for a moment of silence? Repeat the flag, followed by the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to have a presentation by Mr. Price Harris. Surely the high school still going to do this?
Good evening. Excited to be here. We're going to talk real quick, give you an update on athletics. I came at the last meeting to do this, but y'all have more pressing matters to handle than that. So we're going to do some stuff tonight and just give you a little update on where athletics are in our county. We're excited to be here. I don't know if you've been out close to the field, but our school board's going back up. They got the structure up. It's a really exciting time. We're excited about what's going on at Madison County High School and at Madison County Central School. The first thing that I would like to talk to you about is name, image, and likeness, the NIL. Ms. Joseph asked me to talk to you a little bit about this. It is now passed, and so NIL is now a thing in Florida. That means that students can benefit from name, image, and likeness. However, it cannot be affiliated in any way with the school. So the school cannot have anything to do with it. I cannot help kids garner NIL deals. None of the school, anything that has Madison County on it, anything like that cannot be on anything that they do. They cannot use a jersey. They can't do any of that stuff. It cannot be affiliated with the school. But kids are more than welcome to go out and garner their own NIL deals. Improper contact from the schools results in ineligibility of the student athlete. So if we set something up for them, then the student athlete will be ruled ineligible. And sanctions against the school and or the coach will also be enforced. It's a $5,000 fine to the coach and a playoff ban for the school. So as a school district, we are not allowed to help with NIL. We have not said that they cannot do it. They're more than welcome to go out and secure NIL deals with businesses. That is totally parents and the student athletes are able to do that, but the schools and the coaches cannot have anything to do with it. We cannot attract other student athletes from other counties to come play at our place. Neither can other counties attract our student athletes by NIL deals. So that's kind of the state of the NIL. We'll see how it progresses because it's always going to progress. You know, it just got passed, so it's going to change. It's going to morph, okay, as it goes. So are there any questions about NIL that you have? Yes, ma'am.
What can you explain it? Give the, in other words.
Okay, so name, image, and likeness has gone out to colleges. So they started it in college where a student athlete can benefit off of his name, his image, so he could sell his image to a business. They could put him up on a billboard.
When they're still in high school.
While they're still in high school, and a likeness.
Right.
So they can go out and get a sponsorship from any business in town, and they're able to benefit from, they're able to garner money, so they can get money.
And we're not
from
able to do any endorsements with them. No nothing, no endorsement for anything.
Yeah, it used to not be able. Now they can. They can do whatever, but we cannot have anything
That's what I
to
said.
do with
We.
it. Yes, we cannot. We cannot. The district cannot do anything. But the student athletes are more than welcome to go out and garner that. And we have some guys that are already marketing themselves. So like we have a player on one of our teams that's selling shirts that has his face on it, and you're more than welcome to buy a shirt with his face on it if you want to. It's great marketing, whatever he wants to do. But he's able to take the funds from that and put them into his pocket, where it used to not be that way. So student athletes can, on popularity, the idea is that on popularity. It won't affect our young men a whole lot. It hasn't affected a whole lot of young men in the state of Florida, except for the ones that are garnering attention from like Nike and Adidas and Under Armour, where they're trying to get these young men when they're younger, thinking that they're going to be later on in life, maybe they're going to bring them some money from it.
It's
Okay?
mostly geared to those college students who are so famous.
Yes. That they felt like the college, it started in college, they felt like the colleges were benefit off of the student athlete. And so now this allows student athletes to benefit off of their popularity.
I've heard of it, but I didn't hear the expression NIL. That was
NIL,
something.
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. So that's the name, image, and likeness.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what and they've been debating it for a couple of years now, and they finally passed it. Governor DeSantis wanted it passed, and so it passed in the FHSA, and then it had to go before the Florida Congress, and they passed it, and now it's actually where kids can go do it. Okay, so we can't have anything to do with it. We've been very hands off. I try to explain that to our players. It's just really hard to tell, so to tell them exactly what it is. So we're going to have a little workshop. The plan was open house, but because of the hurricane, it got bumped back. So at the Cowboys Showcase, we're going to have a little informational time for parents to where they can see how they can benefit from NIL and what the drawbacks are for the school district that we cannot participate in that. And so that they can see that. So we're going to do a little workshop at the Cowboys Showcase.
And Mr. Harris, maybe you all need to do with the staff too.
Yes, ma'am.
Make
Yes, ma'am.
them aware of it and make sure that they're aware of this, and Ms. Joseph let them sign that paper that they have been told about these things. So when that $5,000 come up,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
district won't be paying.
We've already had our coaches meeting already with that, but
And-
I didn't
I'm saying-
sign it, but we'll look at that as well. Okay, and we have a coach meeting tomorrow that I'm going to reiterate that too as well. Okay, a program update real quick. I just wanted to give you an idea. We had up to 112 student athletes this summer that participated in workouts at the high school. That we also had another 50 that did boys and girls basketball in the summer, which was pretty phenomenal. I thought they had a really good show in there. And so we had quite a few student athletes, and Miss Iris Wynn was awesome, and she fed our young men every Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. And for some of those young men, that's the only meal they got during that day. So we are very, very thankful to Miss Iris Wynn and the district for providing the meals for those young men during the day. They were able to do their workouts and then go to the middle school for that Title I meals. So we really, really appreciate that. Our goal last year was to have a team GPA of 3.0. We were at a 2.93 last year. We were committed to achieving that goal this year. That's one thing that we really want to do. So we were at a 2.93. Our goal was a 3.0. Our kids, we talk to our kids about that all the time as a team, as a football team. We had multiple sports that were over that 3.0. And softball was our highest GPA with a 3.6 as a team. Okay, so that was pretty phenomenal, and we're taking pride in trying to make sure that our student athletes are our students first and athletes second. Schedule was very challenging this year. I know I sent out the schedule the other day, so you'll know we're gonna have to travel a little bit, and that's because if you're not aware of football, in one rule we do not have a district. So that means we have to find 10 games, and so teams do not have to play us. So I have to find 10 teams that are willing to play us, and that was more difficult this year than it's been. Rickards, Godby, some of the teams that traditionally have played us said no, and so we're going to have to travel a little bit more. It's not exactly what we wanted, because we also know that those local gates, is what we want. We'd love to play Taylor counties and the close schools, the Hamilton counties, the Jefferson counties, but those teams don't want to play us. So I'm just letting you be aware that the scheduling was not because we wanted to go out and play a crazy schedule. It was out of necessity more than have to. All right. We had a 100% graduation rate amongst our athletic programs last year. We were nominated for the Fred E. Roselle Sportsmanship Program for the FHSA. In order to be nominated for this award, you have to be nominated in multiple sports. We were nominated in volleyball, football, boys basketball, girls basketball, and baseball, which was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty neat. And you can't be nominated, you have to be nominated by an official. So an official crew nominated us in each one of those sports. We did not get the Freddie Roselle, but it was still an honor to be nominated.
Still, congratulations.
Yes, ma'am. It's a very good honor. We made the playoffs in football, girls basketball, baseball, and softball. We also had student athletes compete in girls weightlifting, boys and girls track past the district level. We had some in the state level, some also that were regional level. So that was exciting. Okay, we've hired 2 new coaches. Our new volleyball coach is Chris Neal. I think he would do a phenomenal job. We're pretty excited about him. We also have a volleyball coach that moved into our district from Pinetta that is going to be his assistant coach, and hopefully, possibly that might morph into something later down the road. But she's phenomenal. That's Ms. Korn, and we're excited about having her. We have a new softball coach. That is Morris Bell from Greenville. Great young man. I say young man, I graduated with him many years ago. But he has head coaching experience moving in and was on the staff last year. So we're excited about where our programs are headed in the future. Our student athletes have been involved in multiple community service projects. That's something that was really exciting for me. I get to see them do all this kind of stuff. We built ramps. We had all kinds of stuff that went on this year. And I was just super proud of all of our coaches for getting our kids involved. Coach Bright had the middle school boys out. They went and helped clean up around town. It's just been really phenomenal to see my coaches that don't have to, that's way outside of their realm of what they have to do. And for softball, did a couple last year. Baseball, Coach Fletcher does a great job of doing those guys, doing a couple of different community service projects. And so we're going to continue to do that throughout the year. So if you find something that you say, hey, this might be a good one for Coach Harris, shoot me an email. We'd love to hear about a community service project. We're always trying to do those. We do in the football program, during the summer they compete for state dinners, and for community service projects they get extra points. They're always wanting to do those. They're excited about them. And then the baseball field, we're excited about the scoreboard, and the baseball field's getting their new clay on 1st of September. Parking, again this year, there's something that I know you guys love to hear me say, but again this year we're requesting being able to charge parking at $5 per car. These funds are vital for the expenses of the facilities. That's what we use
We'll
those
do that at
expenses.
the next school board meeting, and we want all that in writing. It's not going to be done tonight.
I believe it's already on the agenda tonight.
It was on the agenda.
It's on the agenda tonight.
It is up.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't
It's
think,
on the agenda.
and all that stuff is, okay.
So the parking is used for the facilities. So the stuff that we use for the facilities is always stuff that we use for the fields
Katie, what item
and
is that?
everything else at the
5.12.
facilities.
12.
Okay, thank you.
Our other option, if we're not able to use the parking, then our other option is to increase ticket sales.
So that's the only, I didn't know what that's now. Keep going, I'm sorry.
And that's all I have. So, we're requesting that we're able to do the fundraiser, the parking fundraiser. It would be $5 per car. Ticket sales would increase each ticket price.
And see, I didn't have that, it might be on the agenda, it's 5 Point Madison County High School, and,
Yeah, she doesn't have any attachments with it. She just has it there to present.
so, and mine is saying Madison County High School football games. It didn't say, about the charges and all those things. It just said games. And it said, and then up under that, for me, is supplements.
Well, with the hard part is, and I know you guys understand because, I know y'all understand because you live in the same world that we live in, but everything's going up. And so with everything increasing, that means that expenses increase. And so when expenses increase, then we have to find some kind of revenue to offset those expenses. And I hate it, and I don't want to do it, but most schools have already increased ticket prices. I'd rather not increase ticket prices. But most schools that you go to now are at $10. We'd rather not have to increase ticket prices.
But
I'm
we
not
have
saying
to
that's the
vote on
money
that
we would
before
do.
you increase it. We have to vote on the board. It has to be
Yes, ma'am.
presented to the board, and we
Yes,
have to
ma'am.
vote on that.
That's what I'm saying is, I'm saying I would rather not have to do that. We would rather do it through parking than have to increase the ticket prices.
Mr. Harris, what's your ticket price?
$7.
Okay.
Okay.
And that's for all games or?
For varsity games, yes, ma'am. $5 for JV.
It hasn't changed since 1998. That's been the same thing.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all for having me.
That was that presentation. And we have now a presentation by Madison County High School.
Good evening, City Board members.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
I just decided to come by and give you a brief overview of our incomplete that we received for school grade. The state-based incomplete school grading is on two major categories: the percent tested, or there is a discrepancy on the individuals who tested, and they're thinking that there's probably a lot of cheating or fraudulent behavior that's going on. There was no cheating. There was no information brought back to me that I'd have to report to the test. So we knew immediately that it was percent tested. So the amount of students who are tested go from the new test takers to retakes, and it's all categories. It could be your algebra or your U.S. history kids. It's all in one group. Probably somewhere along the line of 300 so many kids. The state mandates you have to get 95% of those tested. We tested 92%. In our calculations, in which we take calculation of all kids in our school who sit for testing, we compare those who are here in survey 2 and survey 3, and they have to sit for testing. And then we compare them to what the state actually has. Our numbers were a little bit off. Out of the 20, they total of 20 test takers through us all. 2 were from Waypoint, 2 from Bridge, 2 that we just missed, and 13 were true. I can tell you, your principal, I've spoken to you before. I've made visits to houses to get these kids to come back, and those numbers, the number of kids, I think it was 13 that came up, my figures right, 14, they will not come to school. So they did not come to school to take those tests. So out of the actual 20 that we missed, we 2 were by our own doing. We just did not have them on our list, and that was a mistake by me. I'm not going to blame my staff. I'm the man sitting before you, and I'm the principal. It's on me. So how do we remedy the situation? We take a closer look every week. We look at our roles and we see where our kids are, who's doing what in what specific classes, if they're going to sit for those exams. We look at them. Now, we only can have to test survey 2 and survey 3 kids. So, but we're starting to where we know what kids are on those roles as compared to what the state has. The second thing is going to get these kids. When we tested and we got to retakes in the summertime, I took a van, and this is a very large county. I took a van to try and find at least 10. I only found 5. Well, being on Valdosta Highway, and I think it's, Rocky Ford Road, went to one student's house. He didn't live there. Went to the area by Georgetown. He wasn't there. Ended up finding him somewhere off Valdosta Highway at another relative's house. Also had to go to Lee, where you take the right by the cemetery, and didn't find that kid. Ended up finding him somewhere off of 53. So when you have the right address, some of these students don't live in the home that they're addressing. So, and you can't, it's not, I won't say it's that student's fault, because as Coach Price told you, some of their situations can't be helped by themselves. But just to explain why, that's why they withheld the grade. Once they configured, we didn't make it in time to submit a rebuttal I guess their calculations on their own found that the 92% would not have changed our school grade at all because of the attendance concern. Now, we are bolstering up our attendance to where I'm doing more home visits, and we're working with the district attendance person that goes out more closely. We're documenting a lot more to where we can really find out where those 13 or 14 kids are. And
he does visit.
a lot of those kids just don't come. Years ago, as a young coach, I just knocked on the door and the parents said, if you can wake him up and get him out, you can get him out. But you can't do that now. I can't drag him out of bed. You know, I find myself losing a certificate or going to prison. So, but these days, you know, you have to have some communication with the parents. So we hope to improve that part.
Well, you do know that person who's in charge of truancy, don't you? Truancy.
Nick.
So work with him more too.
Yeah, we worked, yeah, we did some home visits earlier and went out to some, and when you're faced with it and a parent looks at you, they're standing in the front yard and they're looking at you, I don't know what I can do to get them to come to school. And the parent's twice the size of the child. And I can't make them, they really need to be in school. So the attendance policy we have, just to be truthful, if I can say, has to have teeth when it passes us. There is no repercussions for people who let their 14-year-old kids stay home. I'm the one that pays for it because, like I said, my school got me out. My school gets the grade when they drop out and they leave you with a W05 and they leave in the 9th grade and they leave those significant holes as they go through their cohorts. But I'm not the principal person in their home. So there's nothing being lost in that principal person that's home when they look at you and say, when the kid's standing there and they're standing, looking you in the face, I can't get them to come to school. And Nick and myself have been in the front yard where parents told me, I don't know what I can do, I can't get them to come to school. So, but this, the what, is we tested only 92%. What we're gonna fix, increase our monitoring processes so we can move forward. And this particular thing shouldn't happen. It sort of walks on the line of the diplomas. The names were right, but the date was wrong. So we're gonna have 3 people to look at that part. So anytime we get something wrong, Madison, I kind of ask for we implement plans to make it, to bolster it, to make it that much better. So I just want to come and explain to you what happens so you can hear from me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No,
All right,
appreciate you.
no problem.
Let's just keep going down. We're at item number 2, the agenda. Item 2.1, amendments to the agenda. We're going to amend school staff and allocation. That's going to be 5.1A. Number 2, opportunity scholarships, parental notification, 5.1B. And we're going to pull 5.1, school grades and data.
Madam Chair, I move to adopt the agenda.
Second.
It has been moved by School Board Member Knight, second by School Board Member Carroll, that we adopt the agenda. Questions? All in favor, please show your hands. Mrs. Bishop, 5-0. Item number 3, public comments. No public comments? Okay. Item number 4, consent agenda items. They will be 4.1 minutes, 4.2 fundraisers, and that's it. May I have a motion for consent?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the consent agenda items.
I second.
Been moved by Board Member Thompson, second by Board Member Knight, that we approve the consent agenda items. Questions? All in favor? 5-0, Ms. Bishop. Item number 5, items for individual consideration. 5.1 has been pulled, school grades and data update. We're going to 5.1A, school staff and allocations.
Okay, I have passed out an enrollment form to each of you. That's as of today, that's the number of kids that's actually enrolled in each class by grade, by school. And if you would look at the class average, K through 3, the state looks at a 1 through 18 class size average. Grades 4 to 8, the state looks at a 1 to 22. What I'm doing, if you look at Madison County Central School, right now in the kindergarten, they have a 23 student class average, and we're looking at about 12 more to be in that particular class. I can't put 12 more, and so I'm going to ask you for another teacher in kindergarten for Central School.
That's the only change.
Right now, that's the only change.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the adjustment to a kindergarten teacher to the staffing allocation.
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Knight that we accept the recommendation from the superintendent for another kindergarten teacher at the Madison County Central School, second by Mrs. Gibson. Questions? All in favor, please show your hand. 5-0, Ms. Bishop. Okay, that's that. Now we will go to 5.1B, Opportunity Scholarship Program, Parental Notification.
Okay, we're at the point where a student have to request to attend out of their school zone. And if a class is full, we have been denying it. But Greenville is in a precarious situation, and I gave you some information at your table. If a student is attending a student that's persistently failing and have had 3 years of either D's or F, they are afforded an opportunity to be given an opportunity scholarship. And Greenville Elementary is that school in Madison County. What that means is that they can request to attend school out of zone. For example, they can request to attend school in Madison Central, and we have to allow that. And we have to provide transportation. We will be sending out a letter to each parent tomorrow, as well as giving them a flyer to take home. And they have 15 days to respond whether they want to transfer their child over here or not.
And Mrs. Joseph, did it say any school within the district? It doesn't have to necessarily be the central school. It says any school within the district
Yes.
that has received a school grade
Of
C
C
or
or better.
higher.
Yes.
So they can go to Lee, Pinetta, Central.
Didn't they already have that choice? I mean, school choice, they could have
They
gone?
had that choice, but the choice has some boundaries on it. If a class was full, we
Yes.
didn't have to let them
Right.
go. But right now, we have,
To
that's is out
To
the window.
accommodate.
And they had to provide their own transportation.
Yeah, and they had to provide their own transportation,
And
but now we have to provide transportation. And this didn't come in until Friday afternoon after 5 o'clock. And that was just an information thing for you.
Just for
So you would
information.
know, because some parents at other schools may say they want to transfer, but the class is too large, we're not letting them transfer. But we have to let the students from Greenville transfer in.
And then they can go to another school in another district, but they have to, if that school take them, they have to provide their own transportation. A parent may enroll the student in and transport the student to a higher performing school that has available space in any other school district in the state. But they have to provide their own transportation. Here within the county, they do not. Okay. We'll progress on to 5.2, the public hearing, Code of Student Conduct. Mr. Williams?
Good evening.
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
We have been advertising the Code of Student Conduct for the last 30 days, however many days, past over the month. And right now we are requesting that you approve the Code of Conduct so that we can go ahead and print them and get them out to the schools.
This is a public hearing, so it has to be open to the public. The Code of Student Conduct is now open to the public.
Madam Chair, just so you'll have a question.
Will you please stand, Ms. Hubbard?
Is the threat assessment covered in the Code of Student Conduct? Okay, I had a question about that. that meet with the threat assessment team?
Once a student has been deemed to have to go through the threat assessment process, that parent will be contacted, yes. That's part of the process.
Okay, we have any other comments from the public? Asking one time, any comments from the public? Second time, any comments from the public? Final time, third and final time, any comments from the public? There be none. Any other comments? Student code of conduct is now closed to the public. You may proceed. Okay, that's all you had.
Yes, ma'am. That's
Okay,
requested.
board.
I move to approve the code of student conduct.
I second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Gibson, second by Mrs. Thompson, that we approve the student code of conduct. Questions? All in favor, please show your hands. 5-0, Mrs. Bishop.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
May I backtrack a little bit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I need to backtrack a little bit. If you look on that paper I gave you, we've got a average class size of, at Central School, for sixth graders of 25 students. We know we're gonna have some other kids
Coming
are
in.
requesting. We've already had to deny them, but we've gotta go back.
Hold on, Ms. Joseph. Let's get this straight. You are backtracking. You are backtracking to the staffing, school staffing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's what we're talking about, school staffing.
So, you need me to amend to include a kindergarten and a sixth grade teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We've already done one, so we just
Yeah,
need to do
just-
the other one. Which
Yes,
one is
uh-huh.
that?
I
Sixth
would
grade.
Just do a second?
A second one
Okay,
for the
so,
second.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to add a additional sixth grade teacher to Madison County Central School for the staffing allocation.
I'll second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Carroll, that we add an additional sixth grade teacher to the staffing plan. Questions? There be none. All in favor, please show your hands. 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. Now, sorry, we'll go right back to the agenda. And it's going to be 5.3, personnel changes, Mr. Kibblesworth.
Yes, ma'am. Tonight, as you see, we have 4 that I'm asking your approval for. Teacher at Central, 1 at our high school, and then 2 at the district, 1 a mental health counselor, and then the other MTSS specialist, which goes to all the outlying schools as well as some at Central. At this time, the 4 are the only ones that we have.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the staffing recommendations.
Second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mrs. Gibson, that we approve the staffing recommendation, instructional employees recommendation. Questions?
Mr. Killingsworth, how many vacancies do we have in the schools that are without a certified teacher?
Certified?
Certified, with a bachelor's degree?
Probably need to say what?
All of them at Greenville, isn't it?
Dozen? Maybe a little more.
So we have 3 vacancies with someone that does not, or 3 vacancies that do not have a teacher with a bachelor's degree.
Okay, so that's 3 vacancies right there.
Yes.
Is that at one particular school or just the whole,
No,
that's the whole?
that's different.
Okay,
We have probably about 10 that, probably more than that, probably 15 that the teachers are working on. They have a bachelor's degree and they're working on getting certified in that subject.
okay. And
then
they
there'll
have,
be 2 more.
go ahead.
There'll be 2 more from what y'all just approved tonight.
You
Okay.
got-
That we're
What
working
she's
on.
trying to
But that's
get at,
good.
how many paras? Do we have 3 paras in the classroom as teachers?
Yes, ma'am.
You have 3 paras
Okay,
in the
because I
classroom.
think that should be a top priority, because last year we let the pairs stay there all year long. And I don't know if you had any parent input on that, but they should have a bachelor's degree.
Right now,
Well,
filling those
and that's
vacancies
true,
are,
but the thing
priority.
is, we're working to try to resolve that, to have, the goal is to have certified teachers in every position that we need. However, at the end of the day, the reality is sometimes there's classes that we are unable to find
Well, no, I
a person
realize
at
that, but I
time,
just
and
wanna keep
We have
that-
to backfill it the best way, and that is gonna be the best fit for our
Right.
students and our teachers at the time. However, throughout the year, that is still considered a void, and if we have a certified teacher that we can find and that we can fill it, then we will do that. So for
Okay.
lack of better, we have a.
Well, I just want to keep it to the surface. In other words, just because we
Correct.
have a warm body in there doesn't mean that we're just all set.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I agree.
While there is also legislation, and you may be able to speak to this, with the program for people with associate's degrees.
There are, but with that and some of the other programs, there's always strings attached that you don't see on the news.
Right.
That, at the end of the day, that person still got to pass certification for the teacher exam and all that. And at the end of the day, most of them, when they go through that, they can get a temporary anyway. So,
Right.
I mean, what's the big deal?
Right.
So, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. Smoke and mirrors. In my language, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the big deal is about the students.
Ms. Gibson, when I report this to the state, they call me every other day, how many vacancies do we have? The paras, those numbers are included.
Thank you.
All in favor? We need to vote.
Y'all vote.
Yes, we
Yeah,
we have voted.
we voted.
I'm good.
Thank you.
There's just questions. Yeah.
Oh, Becky saying.
We did not vote.
We did not
have
vote?
No,
we
no.
were in the discussion phase. We need to vote.
Oh, okay, because I remember instruction. Okay, all in favor of? Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
That's right, we have.
Ms. Gibson had a question.
Yeah.
Okay. 5.4, Boys and Girls Club Memorandum of Understanding, Mrs. Joseph.
Madam Chair, this is our annual agreement that we have with Boys and Girls Club. They want to operate an after-school program at our schools for the 24-25 school year. On your document that you have, it's been corrected in the paper that was Ms. Hagan will sign. Midway down near the bottom says 23-24 school year. That should be, we have corrected that.
Okay.
I move to approve the Boys and Girls Club MOU.
I second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Gibson, second by Mrs. Knight, that we approve the Boys and Girls Club MOU. Discussion, questions? We'll take the vote. All in favor of? 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. 5.6, permission to advertise ESC special programs and procedures, Mrs. Ritchie.
Good evening. Actually, do you want me to do
Okay,
5.5 first?
Yes, please.
And
And that would be memorandum of understanding with this village.
Yes. The same as Ms.
Thank
Joseph,
you.
this is an annual agreement that we have with this village.
Yeah.
Allows us to have a full-time mental health provider for our district. It's free to us. We just have to provide them a place to work from. So this is just an agreement to allow them to continue to send someone to work with our kids.
Now, that's a contingent upon legislative, right? Is that how we're operating?
Not this one. This one is completely, like I said, it's free to us. The kids, I think it's worked through Medicaid.
Okay.
So we just have to provide a place. The mental health allocation that we'll talk about later is based on that. Okay.
I have it in my notes.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the MOU with Dis Village for Madison County, please.
It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Carroll, that we approve the MOU with this village. Questions? We'll take the vote. All in favor of? 5-0, Ms. Bishop. Now we're back to 5.6, permission to advertise ESE special programs and procedures. Mrs. Ritchie.
Okay, so every 3 years, I have to work with the Department of Ed to rewrite our policies and procedures. If you've reviewed it, it is a very, 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 very long document. It breaks apart every part of ESC from the very beginning. And so we have, because it's a policy, we have to have permission to advertise it for public comment for 30 days. So I'm just asking for permission to advertise.
To advertise.
Madam Chair.
Okay.
I move that we advertise the health service.
ESC,
Is that the health services plan?
ESE.
Yeah,
Yes.
the health service.
ESC special
Classes
programs,
in
ESC special
ESE
programs.
Special programs.
I second.
It has been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Knight, that we advertise, we give permission to advertise the ESC special programs and procedures. Any discussion, questions? There be none, we'll take the vote. All in favor of? 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. Okay, and you're still here for 5.7?
I'll be here for a few more minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Memorandum of Agreement with the State of Florida Department of Health and Walpola Department of Health. Mrs. Ritchie.
All right, so this is an agreement to allow our students to get free dental services. And so, once again, all we have to do is provide a space, and then parents get permission for the free dental services, so no charge to them. So,
Is it all grades or just?
to my knowledge, let me check, that's a question that I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's limited to age. I think, and in their paperwork that they bring home at the beginning of the school year, there's an opt-out form for that, so that they can say if they want it or they don't want it.
Because a lot of them are seeing the local dentist down there, they have Medicare, Medicaid, whatever.
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
I say a lot of them probably will,
Mhm.
because they are being seen by the local dentist. They have Medicaid.
Yes, ma'am. We have a lot of kids that do that. It is, with all the stuff that parents are keeping up with their kids, sometimes going to the dentist kind of slips their mind, so this kind of keeps it going.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the memorandum agreement with the State of Florida and the Department of Health.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Ms. Gibson.
Okay. It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mrs. Gibson, that we accept the memorandum of agreement with the State of Florida Department of Health and Walpola Department of Health. Questions? All in favor? 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. 5.8, school health service plans.
All right, moving right along. So, we partner with the Madison Health Department for our school nurses. And so this is the agreement. You would have had an attachment on your agenda for each, the roles and responsibilities for the district versus the Madison Health Department. They do a really good job of making sure our kids are receiving their medicine and hearing and vision screenings, and if they're sick, and they have things that they have to do as far as like getting all the parent forms back, and we work really closely with them. Miss Annie was going to present to you guys tonight about some of the things that they do, but she couldn't be here, so I can try to answer any questions that you have. But we would like to continue working with them, so that's our health service plan that has to be.
Are they staffing each school or they're sharing?
I think there are some of the schools that do share, but they do prioritize if we have students with significant needs, that they have somebody there. The district also provides one nurse, and then the health department provides all the rest of the nurses.
Thank you.
I move we approve the school health service plan.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Gibson, that we approve the school health service plan. Questions? All in favor, please show your hands. 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. 5.9, mental health assistance allocation, Mrs. Ritchie.
All right, so for my last thing, I am asking for your permission to accept the mental health allocation. This is specifically allocated for the district to use for mental health services. With it, we're employing 3 mental health counselors to serve the district, and then some trainings for our counselors and our teachers. This year, it's also paying for the Navigate 360. And so that amount, that allocation changes each year, but this year it allows us to have 3 mental health counselors, and so we're going to try to flood our kids with as much services as possible. So,
I move to approve the mental health assistance allocation.
I second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Gibson, second by Mrs. Knight, that we approve the mental health assistance allocation. Questions? All in favor, please show your hands. Mrs. Bishop, 5-0.
All right, thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am, Mrs. Ritchie. 5.10, dual enrollment agreement with River Oaks Technical College. Mrs. Joseph.
Okay, this is our annual agreement with River Oaks Technical College, which is in Live Oak. And we do have a few students in here. This is where they can do their masonry, electricity, or welding program over there. But it's listed on the back. It's no cost to them, and should they choose, we would provide transportation. This is a continued partnership we have with them.
I move we approve the dual enrollment agreement with River Oaks Technical College.
I second.
It has been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Thompson, that we approve the dual enrollment agreement with River Oaks Technical College. Questions? All in favor? Show your hands, please. That's 5-0, Ms. Bishop. And Mrs. Joseph, there's one question I need to ask you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we've been doing the dual enrollment with FAMU.
Yes, ma'am.
And can we have it on next week's agenda?
Yes, ma'am, I will. I got that email today, and I'll
Yes,
get
ma'am.
that documented.
Okay, thank you. I had spoken to Mrs. Robin about it, and we had spoken about that too. 5.11, Madison County High School supplements. Mrs. Joseph.
Okay, you have the supplemental salary schedule. Now, these supplements are approved by the board through the union, so these numbers are not new, anything we're making up. It's part of your union contract. But for Mr. Brooks' not Mr. Brooks, Mr. Harris' presentation, we need to make a correction for your softball varsity head coach. They have a TBA, but he said that was Morris Bell, and we'll put the assistant as a TBA.
So we're going to
Well,
have to approve him.
it's got it on the bottom right here.
It's not, he is not going to be the assistant. They approached a new assistant today and submitted her background to the high school.
So he's going to be changed to the varsity, and then somebody's going to be under
That's
him.
what I just said. I would put Morris Bell as the varsity head coach and the assistant TBA.
So we got to vote on that because he was the assistant. So now he's going to be appointed the head.
I was changing this before you voted. Okay?
I heard you,
Okay.
and I'm just repeating what you
Okay.
said.
And that's.
Do we have a motion to that effect then?
I motion to approve the supplement list.
With the change of
With the
Morris Bell,
change.
From,
Change.
Morris Bell to head coach. And I second.
Yeah, okay, it has been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Knight, that we approve the supplemental list and with the change of Mr. Bell being the head coach now instead of the assistant coach. All in favor, any questions? All in favor, please show your hands. 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. .12, Madison County High School football games, Mrs. Joseph.
Okay, that's what Coach Harris was speaking about, and he was asking to continue charging $5 parking fee. Now, you had asked me something about what they're going to do with the money.
Yes,
They never
ma'am.
give me anything in writing. So
Well, originally when it was, and I made that motion when I was on the board, we were always supposed to get what was going to be done with the money. That we can't give them just whatever that they want to do with the money. It has to be reported to the board. And we have to know what they're doing with the money.
Okay, so you want to pull it, approve it, or just come back with a presentation next week?
And maybe, he was talking about
Well-
ticket, and Frankie was
Well, they
saying.
got a
I
game-
mean,
they got a
said
game
they have a
Friday.
game Friday, and the money, he even said in his presentation, goes to facilities. That's what they use to
Facilities.
keep up the football field, to maintain the locker room, and it's,
And the baseball field.
it's a baseball field, it's not just football.
And it was supposed to have a figure attached to it because,
The-
and it was supposed to be presented here to the district with a figure attached to it. And you just can't collect money and say it has been used for this and whatever. And you have to have a running report of it, of what you're spending and what has been spent And if all of it has been spent, if not, it has not been spent.
Well, I'm sure Ms. Raynack can speak to, what's been, she doesn't look at those
That's at the
books.
school level, but we can bring them a report back next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam Chair, I move to accept to continue with $5 parking fee.
I second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Carroll, that we continue the $5 parking fee. And,
And then she'll have a report next
I'll
week.
have the report next week.
questions on that? Any questions or discussion? I heard Mr. Harris said that, when these boys were being fed, that was the only meal that they would get at that day when they were doing football practice. Do we have children who are hungry, who play football and are hungry, and the parents are not able to afford a meal? How can we do something about that?
I can talk to you about that later.
And parents are not able to afford meals for their children?
Yes, ma'am.
There's some kids.
Oh,
There are some, yes, ma'am.
okay.
And we can talk about that
The
privately.
football players not eating some other kids.
Huh?
Are we just worried about the football players not being able to eat when they
Well,
go?
then, that what was presented for Mr. Harris, I'm just saying what was presented to him, and that was the first time that I've heard that children have not been able to eat at home, and that was presented to him, so that's what I'm talking about. Other stuff, we can talk about it later if you want to, but this particular one is, with the football players.
Well, I'm sure there's some more of them, but he
Right.
was talking about his. because,
Yes,
you know,
and that was just a little concern.
Yeah. it
Hadn't
is.
heard it before.
Yes, ma'am.
It is a concern.
Yeah, it is not limited to just the football team.
Okay. Where were we?
We need a vote.
Motion on the floor.
We need a vote.
Okay.
We have a
We're
motion.
voting on whether we're going to keep that $5 price, parking fee price. It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Carroll.
Yes.
And I had a discussion, got off track. All in favor of Mrs. Bishop? 3-4. All against? 2. 3-2. The majority?
They also had ticket prices on there.
Yeah.
Well, the option that he gave was increase ticket price or stay with $5. He would prefer the $5 parking. That's why I motioned that.
Ticket prices have been $7 since 1998.
That's what Frankie,
And paint's gone like.
that's what Frankie said, since 1998.
Paint
And
probably
we-
costs you now,
Correct that.
and
Instead of,
uniforms triple or quadruple what they were. But yeah, ticket price the same. And then, it's not everybody paying it when they do the parking fundraiser, it's just one car. They can put
Right.
400
And-
kids in that car.
and that's right, if the ticket price, we all bear the responsibility, with the ticket price change. And that responsibility was just on parking. But anyway, you have that, Mrs. Bishop? Okay, thank you. .13, Infracast renewal.
Hello. This is a renewal of product called Formacast that runs some of our intercom systems, some of our public safety stuff, some emergency notifications. So this is for a 3-year renewal license for it. This will be paid for out of our.
Out of what?
ESSER money, the COVID money.
Boy, when that runs out, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. Getting every little bit out of it we can.
So, Madam Chair. So the 18.5 is for the whole 3 years, it's not
Yes,
18.5
yes,
per year?
it's a 3-year license, yes.
Gotcha, okay.
I move we approve the informal cast renewal.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Carroll, second by Mrs. Gibson, that we approve the informal cash renewal. All in favor? 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. 5.14, Lightspeed renewal.
So this is a yearly renewal for our Lightspeed subscription. So this covers web filtering on the Chromebooks, things that control our student iPads, classroom management for the teachers of the Chromebooks, our alert system, which scans, for suicide and student
Keywords.
harm, keywords for
Keywords.
student harm. And then it also includes a module that helps us manage all of our agreements and licenses for our applications. And there is one correction on line 2. They got the 23-24 the wrong year. So that's it.
Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, at the bottom it says 3 years with annual billing. So is that the 26,000 figure, divide that by 3 and get 1/3 a year, or is that a 26,000 a year?
It's 26,000 per year. We're actually in year 2 of a 3-year term, basically. Where they give us set pricing for a multi-year term, and they bill us annually.
So why do we need to reapprove it this year if it's a 3-year term and we're in the middle of it?
Guess I might have to.
I think we approved it already for 3 years.
We normally do, so okay.
Just for information, that's what you're giving us?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. 5.15, Drift Net Nowhere System.
Wait a minute, did we approve Lightspeed?
No,
Nope.
it doesn't need
Just-
approval
no, 'cause
because
we've already-
it's already approved.
Yeah.
It's just informational purposes only. Thank you, Isaac.
Okay. So this is a product called DriftNet, which is it's a pretty expansive system that handles school safety. The main thing that this will do is put little detectors in the hallways and in each classroom. It's going to monitor for vaping. There's gunshot detection, different keyword and loud noise, abnormal noise detection. They also have a visitor management portion, as well as badges that have a panic button on them, and access control. So this is for a 3-year contract. You'll see the contract totals $57,500, and it's payable over the 3 years. And the way this is structured is the 3 years the timetable won't start until after the system is implemented. That way we get 60 days to test it and run a trial on it.
And where is the funding going to come from?
It's paid for out of Safe Schools.
And so, I didn't quite understand, will that be placed in all schools?
That's
Central and high school right now.
Central and high school? Okay.
Is this part of the listen alert?
yeah.
Okay,
Listen alert thing for the light city.
okay. And so we still have that, access to that?
Still have campus shield.
Just Campus Shield?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So are we going to do anything for Lee Ponette and Greenville this year? I know that they're closing next year, but will that system be placed over there anytime later in the year?
They're not, we're not looking at an install until the January timeframe. So it's going to be over halfway through the year before we get all the equipment in, get it installed and all that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move to approve the DriftNet contract.
I second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mrs. Thompson, that we approve the DriftNet Nowhere contract. Any other questions?
Will all of the staff members have those badges with the panic button? Is that the idea?
That's the
Okay.
You
Any
said
other?
Safe Schools was paying for this?
I was going to say, at one of our conferences, I think it was last year, they did a demonstration on the panic button thing, so it was pretty neat.
Yeah, you can also have those for business.
Yes.
Business will have that, you can track whatever.
Right. That's really good.
Any others? All in favor of the motion? 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. Thank you. 5.16, 16 Coca-Cola agreement. Mrs. Ray Knack.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
This agreement was presented to the Finance Department from the high school, and it is a 3-year agreement for 3 12-month periods, renewal annually. What it basically amounts to, I'm sorry, it's 5 years, 5 years. And what it basically amounts to is that the high school would allow the bottler, Coca-Cola, to put in machines into the campus and in the sports areas, and then get the exclusive right to only sell those products at the school campus. They are going to, they're going to give the schools $1,000 each year for the right to do that. They're going to loan them the equipment that has to hold the drinks and that. They're going to be responsible for stocking it. There's going to be a rebate of about 15% of the sales that comes back to the school to use for whatever their fund is used. I'm pretty sure this goes into some of the athletic accounts, but I'm not 100%.
It doesn't come to the district office?
It doesn't
at all?
come through us at all. It's all through their internal accounts. So they are asking us to sign this. They have to buy 20-ounce products, and they will give the school 25 cases of 24 at some time during the year as donation, and on top of the $1,000 that the school can use to recoup some of the funding. Termination on it is if they can terminate at any time. And Mr. Reeves, I will defer to you. I didn't see anything else on the termination. There are some issues that Mr. Reeves pointed out to me just before when I got here tonight that he wants to discuss, so I'll let him talk about that.
If I may, Madam Chair. So we used to get these contracts a lot, and what they used to be was it was Pepsi or Coke would come in and they would do like a big scoreboard or with our names on it, all that. And so you'd get these multi-year contracts like that, and in exchange for them, because they had to put out some money and all for the scoreboard, in exchange for that, you'd get a multi-year contract. And where they would make their money is in advertising, and then also in everybody involved with the school had to buy their product at their prices and all of that. And it made a certain amount of sense because they were outlaying a significant amount of money for those scoreboards. Now, my criticism of those contracts was that the contract was always for 8 years and the scoreboard seemed to only last 6 years, and then on that 6th year you'd have to sign a brand new contract and get another scoreboard, and so you kind of always owe in the company store kind of thing with them. With this contract, it's not obvious to me why they would need a 5-year contract that couldn't be terminated at least at the end of the year. One of the issues you'll have with the contracts, because it's what and I think the last one we did was, I mean, gosh, it's been a while. It's been 15 years or 20 years anyway. But one of the problems is if you have your science club wants to do a fundraiser, well, they can go to Sam's and get the product at this price, but they can't do that under this agreement. They have to buy it from the bottler at X price. And that's one of the things that I know we had last time.
And then
There were 2 other issues specifically on the last paragraph, paragraph 15. It said it was governed by the laws of the state of Georgia. This bottler's out of Tifton, so I'm sure that's part of their standard contract, but in the past you all have not been willing to agree with that. And then immediately above the waiver of jury trial, it says the parties will keep the terms of this agreement confidential. Well, obviously we can't do that. It's been published on our website. So I think, and I don't have a recommendation on whether or not this is a good deal financially. I don't understand that part of it. That's something Rose would have to tell us. But I think my recommendation would be to send it back to them and say that we need it to say the state of Florida. We got to take out the confidentiality, And then certainly say for us to consider it, it'd need to be an annual contract. Or if they can give us a good reason why they need a multi-year contract. It seemed a lot more obvious when they were putting out a bunch of money to build scoreboards
right.
that had our specific name and said Go Cowboys and all of that. And so that would be my recommendation. And then I don't know how you'd evaluate whether it's a good deal financially, right?
Well, I don't think it's a good deal, $1,000. And then they might give you some cases when they feel like they want to give you the cases. And that's when they feel like they want to give you the cases. And then we know exactly, you know, the school boards and all that, what that cost. And I just don't think it's a good deal for that $1,000. And what percentage were they thinking about giving us from the profit?
15%. I would say that there
And they
appears
have
to be,
exclusive right.
enough questions on some things in
Yeah.
here that we probably, I would recommend that you table it until we
Yes.
get more answers,
Madam Chair.
and then bring it
It'd
back.
be nice to talk to some other districts that have maybe signed one of these deals in the last year or two and see how
Madam
they
Chair,
look.
I move to table item 5.16, the
Thank you.
Coca-Cola
I
agreement.
second.
It has been moved by Mrs. Thompson, second by Mrs. Knight, that we table item 5.16.
Thank you.
What I've been used to dealing with them, because I was up there.
I'll get with the high school and see, they negotiated this
them judges
contract.
Well, and I
Yeah.
do know that part of the negotiation was that they were supposed to bring in new coolers and stuff in the concession stands, and that has not been done either. So, you know, like, we have a
Another good
football game
reason to
Friday, and
table.
there's no cooler for us to put drinks in.
Okay.
So,
Another
you know,
good
I know
reason.
that was supposed to have been done as well, so.
So we'll get back with,
But
the high
The guy
school.
that does that stuff needs to come and do a presentation to the board so they can hear it from his mouth.
Okay.
What we can get and what we can't get. And, you know, they need to be donating more than 25 cases of drinks a year. I can tell you that.
Okay. I'll get with the high school and we'll get with the vendor and we'll see what their terms really are and what they really mean and why they need them. And then we'll bring it back to you.
And there may be a good reason, we just need to
Right.
know what it is.
Okay, we'll take the vote to table. All in favor of 5-0, Ms. Bishop. Five 5.17, membership in small school district council consortium. Ms.
Okay, this is our lobbyist small school district council consortium, and the annual fee is $3,250, and I think this is something that the school board members and the superintendent benefit from. And this is our annual fee.
I move to approve the membership in small school district council consortium.
I second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Gibson, second by Mrs. Knight, that we approve the membership in small school board council conservatory.
It is.
All in favor? 5-0. 5.18, appointment of alternative to FSBA Advocacy Legislative Committee.
Okay, Ms. Bishop was informed that we need an alternate for the legislative committee. In October, in November, we choose people for each committee, but we never did choosing an alternate. So Ms. Gibson is the person, but she needs an alternate.
I would be happy to serve in that capacity.
Yeah, you did it last year. Devin said she would, so she did it last year.
I was on it last year.
Yeah, so Madam Chair, I move to adopt Devin Thompson as the alternate for the advocacy committee for FSBA.
I second.
Okay. It's been moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Gibson, that Mrs. Thompson be the FSBA advocate,
Did he show up?
legislative advocate. All in favor, show 5-0, Mrs. Bishop. Item 6, other interests, other items of interest, Superintendent.
Okay, Superintendent, first thing, this past Saturday, we had a rally in the park and we gave out book bags to all the people. This check was presented to us by Kevin Gertz, he is the Director of FDM Florida Department of Emergency Management. And this is the loan that we're using. You got the full amount? Okay, this is the loan that we're using to pay for our deductibles. And how will we repay this loan? We will get reimbursed from FEMA, and FEMA will pay these back. So none of this will have to come out of our general fund. That was a good day.
So that had been approved by the board already.
It's been approved and presented to the board, but I thought it would be nice for him to come to our community, and we would personally thank him for that.
And we appreciate it.
Okay? Next thing is at our countywide was abbreviated this year because of the hurricane. And we had a luncheon, but we need to thank the Lions Club for presenting 8 teachers, $500 each for supply money. That was a total of $4,000 donation. Right now, Commissioner Diaz was in town today, and we walked Central School and we walked Lee. We still having some issues related to the hurricane in Lee, at Lee School, but at this time I'm going to defer to, where is he? He's still here, Jeremy. Jeremy Ellis, he's working with us. Can you give us a status of where we are in getting our buildings back in order? There were a lot of water damage.
There's quite a bit of water damage.
Good evening.
Good evening. Central School was actually signed off on this evening by the industrial hygienist, so that building is completely clear and ready to get back to business. Lee, the remediation I was told was complete this afternoon. The industrial hygienist will have to go in tomorrow to verify that. If that is verified to be complete, then they will sign off on that tomorrow as well.
Okay, let's talk about Lee. They're gonna sign off on it, but what does it, we had to delay their starting. And so we gotta put it back, make it whole again, because they went in and cut out a lot of sheet rocks because the sheet rocks were wet in a lot of classrooms.
A lot of classrooms. They, I can't remember how many rooms, but each building, 100, 200, 300, and 400, all had egress of water, and all of that drywall that was wet had to be removed. So it's a pretty extensive operation at Lee. So that's what's holding us from keeping that, getting that back open.
So how long do you think it'll take to get it back in place?
I'll have a better answer for that tomorrow. I don't have an answer for that today. I would say at least a week before Lee could get back into full operation and be signed off on.
How long did you say?
About a week.
About a week.
At least.
So we're gonna delay that opening, Mrs. Joseph?
I really don't want to discuss that right now because I need to go have a caucus before I say that, because I don't know. Because I'm just hearing this right now.
Yep.
But I know they worked all weekend because I was out there at 1 o'clock yesterday, and I was working from 1 o'clock to 8 o'clock. And I'm just hearing this status, because when I left there, they had torn out some rooms, and when I went back there this morning, they had torn out some more rooms. Tomorrow, Commissioner Diaz is going to send a facilities team from DOE and our insurance team of Justice McClaren. They're going to send a team out to Lee School to evaluate what they are. So I don't want to make a call without evidence to back it up.
So you'll let us know.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I know we're on a tight schedule, but I can't speak things I don't know and I don't have evidence, because I don't want people to take it out of context. And right now, Lee opening was postponed Monday and Tuesday. I don't know about Wednesday.
Okay, well, I will just say, as a board member, I would appreciate it if that information came from you next time and not from social media. So, thank you.
Do we know what caused the water intrusion
In which area?
in Lee?
Not, there's not a determination that's been made about it yet.
Okay. I mean, the only reason I'm asking is, how do we make sure it doesn't happen next time? I mean, do we have a?
Correct, and I believe those are some of the discussions that are gonna happen tomorrow with the
Yep.
Clarence.
Okay.
Anything else for me, Ms. Shirley?
Do y'all have any other questions about the hurricane relief of what we're doing? I need to thank 2 of my board members, or 3 of them, because I know Greenville has some trees uprooted and down, and they helped remove those trees.
I have a question about the high school, because I was there today, and there's a problem near at the band section,
That's
water.
being worked on, that was worked on
Okay.
clear today.
I don't think that was due to the storm now.
That was not due to the storm, and that's not the first time it happened.
You know
but
it's not,
Mr. Ginn was on that. It's a bathroom overflow down by the band hall, and he said he found the problem today. But I haven't had a chance to follow up with him on that.
Superintendent, we're still not done evaluating what's going on in these schools, so we really don't want to give you an overview of what may or may not be the case, and what may or may not be related to this hurricane versus last hurricane.
Right.
That's why we have these folks coming in tomorrow to
Right.
look at what's there and try and make those assessments. We'd rather give you the end of the story rather than give you parts and pieces that may or may not.
And the updates we were getting were fabulous, like where you were just giving us like a daily brief, you know, that was great. And then all of a sudden, you know, Lee's getting not starting, and I'm like, okay, well, that would have been nice to know, because then my phone starts ringing. So I would just appreciate if we had that information before it went to the public, so that we know how to answer these questions.
Can Ms. Hutcherson talk to them?
Absolutely.
I think a lot of that was because of the emergency situation that came to view. Originally, it was that there was just water in the 100 building.
Yes, ma'am.
Once we put the industrial hygienist on scene, that determined there was mold throughout the school.
Yes.
So what we originally thought they were going to take care of, it was going to be a simple issue, excavated very, very quickly.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I don't know that that information, like as of this morning, it was still being poured in from multiple directions.
Okay.
So I don't know that she was able to give you a timely update, because they're still working through those issues.
Okay, thank you.
Also, like I said, the commissioner walked that school today, and he's concerned about it, so he's sending his team over there to have a first-hand look, and he's supposed to be giving me a report afterwards.
Fabulous.
So I was informed of this yesterday in church, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So with that, do you expect an update by tomorrow possibly on that?
I hope I have an update,
Okay.
and I can't promise you anything.
Moving forward, my question is, and I don't want to say one way or the other, because like you said, you don't want to cause anything, uproar, because you don't know. But just, can I say, for instance, they say that school cannot open. Will you contact the board members, and can we, if we have to have a special meeting to decide how to move forward with that, is that an option?
That's possible, but yesterday, it was my oversight because I was trying to get, I went out to Central School, and I was trying to get that place ready so they wouldn't close that down. They were trying to close the Central School down yesterday also.
Right. Well, I just mean, I feel like maybe that's something that the board, we need to discuss, how we would like to move forward if that building is not able to be occupied.
That's why I'm not making a decision, and I'm giving you the information that I have right now, and I will give you all a call, and if we have to come back in tomorrow, I will let you know as soon as possible.
Thank you.
But they are supposed to be at Lee Elementary School at 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Any other?
That's enough.
Mrs. Reed, Mr. Carroll?
I just appreciate everybody that was helped out with the storm and things. And then appreciate who all was involved in having that back-to-school bash at the park. It was pretty nice on Saturday.
Ms. Devon?
Yes, I would like to address the terminology used earlier in the meeting by Ms. Gibson. For the record, our employees are not just warm bodies. They are dedicated individuals who work hard every day, not only to educate our students, but to also develop relationships with those students. Many have proven by their test scores that sometimes the relationships they have trump their certifications. Many of them are also very educated people. Some are in college to further their education, although they may not have a degree in education. Make no mistake, all of you are valuable to us.
Thank you. Ms. Knight? Mrs. Knight?
Yes, so I would just like to thank Superintendent Joseph and Robin and Patrick and Mandy and I mean, there's too many people to name here. Everybody, Mr. Tim, the maintenance crew, everybody that was involved in, you know, the shelter and the hurricane recovery. You know, there's a lot of hours that were poured into that and a lot of sacrifice in your home life. And I just want you to know that you guys did an amazing job stepping up and, you know, jumping into place to make sure that our community's needs were taken care of. And your dedication is greatly appreciated. And I'm just so grateful that we have such a great community and a great staff and great leadership to be able to come together in a time of need the way that we did. So I just want to express, you know, my appreciation for that. And I do want to also just commend you all, even in the turmoil and the disaster that we, you know, we're experiencing within the community. We were still able to rally together for the rally, you know, so I do want to appreciate you all for all of the efforts, Ms. Gwynn, Superintendent Joseph, and all of the back end people that were putting those backpacks together and all of those supplies for the children. Just to provide them a little bit of normalcy in the midst of disaster yet again as we're going into another school year. So I just, you know, again, I have found that when we are put in the pressure cooker, our community comes together. And, you know, we tend to shine when we are in these situations, and we always come together and we make it work. And I just want to see our community stay that way on a regular basis and not just in the midst of a disaster. So I appreciate you all for all that you did. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Mr. Price and Mr. Brooks for coming tonight. I appreciate their input and keeping us up with what's going on. I want to reiterate what I said earlier. Our students deserve teachers who have been trained to be in the classroom to teach them. I admire the people who are taking the place of the teacher, but we still need to strive to fill all of our positions with teachers with bachelor's degrees. And if they weren't educated to be a teacher, that's fine. I have experienced many teachers, when I was at the high school especially, that had a bachelor's degree, but they had the 3 years to become certified, and they were fabulous teachers. So they really weren't trained to be a teacher, but due to that certification. But what I'm saying is I want us to strive to have teachers, certified teachers in each classroom, and I won't back down from that. I was able to attend all the open houses, and I appreciate all the work that was done with the limited time that they had. Everyone seemed to have a wonderful classroom. All the schools seemed to be well prepared, and I thank you very much.
And I recognize all the hard work that everybody has been doing. And we had this storm and school starting. So combine those two together, a lot of hard work and effort has been put in, and I thank everybody for it. Ms. Devon, Ms. Katie, and I would like to thank you all, especially with your chainsaws.
You are so welcome.
You're very welcome. And once again, thank you, everybody. I recognize and realize the hard work that has been put in.
Madam Chair, I move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second.